it's a process of, and it's a step to collect and analyze information to increase our understanding on a particular topic. So, of course, you know that when research is done, new knowledge is generated, and of course, the knowledge of the people is enhanced on a particular topic. And again, we must know that research is dynamic. So, and that's why you don't rely so much on what happened yesterday, because today, as we talk right now in this meeting, persons are in the lab all over the world, finding out new things, getting new results that are already countering what we discovered yesterday. That's why research is so dynamic, and we must have that at the back of our mind, that research is very dynamic in nature. So now I put here basic elements of the qualitative research. It must be systematic. I'm sorry, I'll be fast because my slide is a bit much and I have a very short time, but you all have access to the slide after the presentation, so you can go with it. It must be objective. It must be verifiable. Like I used to say to my people, especially in the sciences, it must be laboratory proven. It must be verifiable. It must be replicable. So when you do a research in India and you get 2 results, and I'm doing the same thing in Nigeria and I'm getting 2.5 or 2.4, well, the thing in between the margin, if I'm getting 9 or 11, then I mean, and I've used the same procedure, the same system, the same equipment, now it shouldn't be that wide in range of results. So our research must be very viable in nature. It must be definite. It is both an art and a science. Research must be wide in scope, and that's why you see that the world is right now talking about multidisciplinary approach in research, so that it can be wide and can cover so many things. Now it must rely on empirical evidences. And so, having given that background tonight, I'd like to take you to the real menu for tonight, which is after you have done your research. Like I tell people when I present like this in many meetings, that it's not enough for you to do your research. It's not enough for you to burn the candles in the midnight and for you to be in the laboratory like I used to do, over time and do all of that and gather your data. The next thing is that the new knowledge you have found, the new idea you want to disseminate, people must get to see it. They must get to have it in their hand so that we can use it to develop our community. And how do you do that? You disseminate your information. Where do you do that? You publish through journals, through monographs, through book publishing and all of that. So let's look at where you should publish as a researcher. Now, there are outlets and there are outlets. There are journals and there are journals. And I will tell you tonight, very frankly, that not all journals fit into what I call credible outlets in publishing, because there are journals that, of course, I'm sure most of you have received messages on your email most of the time. Publish that paper in the next 7 days. Don't meet the next promotion. I've gotten that message over time. I just delete it immediately because I don't even need it. Now, a friend of mine published a paper the other day. Not a friend really, but I got to know about the case. He was working on the manuscript and then he left some yellow, marks. He wanted to do some corrections there, and mistakenly he sent it for publication in a journal. And you'll be surprised that it was published with the yellow marks on it, the way it was. That's to tell you, it was never. I hope you are hearing me. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, we are
hearing you.
We are hearing you. We are hearing you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. And so, it shows that there was no peer review at all. The way he sent it, it was the way it came back. And you must have seen a lot of that. A lot of journals just send a paper in there and then they convert to PDF and publish immediately without any peer review. That is not credible. What I teach my students, what I teach my colleagues, what I teach my people over the years is to look for credible outlets. It is not enough for you to do your research. You must be able to publish in a very good journal. So tonight, I wouldn't know how many of you know what we call Scopus. And for those of you who know it, congratulations. Those who don't, maybe you get to know it tonight. Now, journals that are indexed in Scopus, that's what we call qualitative analytics, or what you call, it used to be known as qualitative analytics, and of course, ISI. These are indexation houses where quality journals, credible journal outlets are indexed. Now, the second one is what we used to know as from Reuters in those days, which is now called Clarivate. Now, I give you some examples. This is not exhaustive. just few examples. You must have heard, or you must have seen, or even some of you have published in journals that are published by Nature. As of today, Nature started out to be the best in the world in terms of publishing because of the rigor that goes into the peer review system. And when you have a paper in Nature, you yourself are very confident of yourself that you have done yourself a lot of good and to your community also. Now, science, of course, you'll be familiar with Elsevier. They have thousands of journals that are very good in that publishing now. Springer, Taylor and Francis, William Online Library, Sage, and so many of them. And I must say that there are so many faculty or institutional journals that fit to this category also in most schools across the world. Also very, very good. Now,
come like this, don't mind me. Don't mind me. Come. This is responsible for your kids. Don't mind.
Please, can you mute everybody? Mute everybody.
okay, well, that noise is being removed now. So now, when you look at this, some pictures here now, I'm talking about credible outlets. It's not about quantity. I have worked in a school before where you can become a professor with 15 papers because when your papers are published in Clarifate journals or Scopus Index journals, you get to score 4 points per paper. And I need to have 60 points to be a professor. So 4 times 15 papers, that'll give you 60 points that you need to become a professor after you have met the tenancy criteria. And somebody will present 50 journals. When you have 15, somebody is having 50. And then the one that has 50, because all of them are published in journals that are predatory in nature, the highest they will score is 1. And so he has 50 points. And you have 15. And you are getting your points. So somebody with 15 papers is a professor, while somebody with 50 cannot even become a senior lecturer because of where he has published. And that's why I'm talking about quality, not quantity in publication. Now, these are some of the credible conference outlets, that you can publish your papers in there as a conference paper. Now, what are the things that qualifies a journal to be credible? Impact factor, not all exhaustive anyway. Now, impact factor tells you how your journal is performing in the market, just like a business mentality. Now, the site score. Site score is number of citations the journal has attracted divided by the number of paper published of that journal in the last 3 years. And that gives you the site score. It's a very, very credible way of measuring the impact of journals out there today. Percentile, telling you how your journal is doing within a quarter of journals publishing in the same topic area per time. So when you have journals that have 99% and 98, that means they are the best in their field. And that's the journals I patronize personally. Now, you have rich and quality editorial board, rich and quality and diversified, not just all the editors from one school or one faculty or one department. That will not take any journal anywhere. Now, it is indexed, it has a DOI, it has editorial information, the day you submitted, the day you were taking no correspondence, and the day it was accepted and published. You will see everything on the final paper that is published. That is to show you that journal is of good quality. Then it has online and print formats. And of course, the most important thing here is the fact that such journals take you through rigorous peer review process. Now, and so many other things because of my time and language editing also. Now, what is that thing called Scopus? Scopus is, it was brought up by SCV in 2004, and then it's the largest database in the world today where credible journal outlets are indexed. Any journal index in Scopus is credible because it won't even get there in the first instance if it's not credible. It has to go through a lot of, trading and all of those things before they could allow such journals to get in there. Now, it covers book series, journals, trade journals, and so many other things. Now, you have so many scores in Scopus. You have the H index, you have the site score, you have the schema journal ranking, and of course, you have the SNIP, normalized impact per paper. All of these things Scopus will give to you. And right now, a lot of institutions in the world are subscribing to Scopus because Scopus is a platform now being used to rank universities as world-class universities. And so universities that are world-class today are actually, getting on Scopus because everything you need to drive research in the university or an institution is given to you by Scopus. And with just about $16,000, university can get on Scopus, which we are doing currently in our university. I've done that for other universities in the past. And so everything you need to know about research and how to drive it is there in that database called Scopus. So some other things about Scopus, let me just run because of my time. You have the slide to yourself after. Okay, so you see Scopus is owned by Elsevier, but it's not all Elsevier that is in Scopus. As you can see from this slide, that virtually all the credible publishing houses today are on Scopus, not just Elsevier. And so when you want a paper to be selected for publication, these are the things they look for. Is your work true or credible? Is it novel? Is it reproducible? Is it important? Is it relevant? Have you effectively communicated your output to the world in terms of good English? And all of those things are the things they look at. Now, let me give you some typical examples. And before I show you the examples, I will say this very frankly. I've met people in life, a lot of them and junior colleagues, even senior colleagues, who will say, I don't want to waste time. I submitted my paper to a particular journal, and after 1 year, it was rejected. And sometimes it's 6 months, it's 9 months, they waste time, and in promotion, I tell them, yes, it takes time, but not all the time you put in that kind of time. Because when your work is good, when your research is good and of good quality, you may not have to waste time on it. And that's why I'm going to show you some examples now from my own personal work, talking about not wasting time. Now, look at this journal, everybody. This journal is called Bioresource Technology. As of today, the impact factor of this journal is 9.6. It's a very big journal. And I must say to you that getting your paper published in this journal is not a child's play at all. You have to go through a lot of things before you can get one paper published in Bioresource. But to the glory of God, I published 9 papers in this journal till today. So how did I do it? Now, let's look at this. This journal has a site score of 14.8 as of today, and it is percentile of 98, which means among all the journals that are published in the same subject area, this journal is in the top 3%. That's what this means, top 2% rather. That's what this means. So you know that to enter this journal is not a child's play, but I did. And how did I do it? Now look at this particular paper, one of my works that I published in 2016. Now look at this part of this paper, everybody. It was received by the journal on the 28th of April 2016. Now, it was sent for me for revision, and it got back to them for revision on the 23rd of May. That was 3 weeks, 2 days after. And on the 28th of May, exactly 1 month after it was initially submitted, it was accepted for publication. Now, this remained a surprise for a lot of people. And I tell them, once the work is good, the journal will not waste time on it. So I got this one published in just 1 month in a big journal like Bioresource Technology. Now, as soon as that was done, you know what I did? I put another one there almost immediately. And look at this one now. Received 28th August. In revised form, 13 September. Accepted 15 September. Now look at it. 28th August, it was submitted. Accepted 15. 3 weeks. Less than even the first one. Because the work is good. So when your work is good, it doesn't waste time for publication. Now, I saw you, second journal I'm going to show you tonight is this. It's called Energy Conversion and Management. Now, this is bigger because the impact factor is 9.7. And of course, when you look at the parameters here on this for this journal, the site score alone is 15.9, and it's also 97 percentile, which means it's in the third, it's in the 3 best percent of the journals publishing in the same category. Now, I put the paper there in 2017, and from the information you have here, it was received on the 20th of January of that year, received in revised form 21st of February, which is a month, accepted 22nd, a month, 2 days. In this kind of big journal, my work was published, which shows that it doesn't have to take forever to publish your work in a good journal once your work is good. Now, Can we look at something else before I begin to go tonight? Citation is one of the things you also need to, as a researcher, as a publisher, how are you known in your field? And your being known is a result, is a function of your feasibility. Now, do people know you beyond the four walls of your department? Do they know you beyond your faculty or your college? Do they know you beyond your university? If you're a professor in the university today, can you walk up to another university and become a professor almost immediately? Because what they need, you have. Now, that's a question I asked myself over the years, even before I became a professor. So now one of the things that is not enough for you to work in the lab and publish, or for you to write. It is enough for you to do your quality work and make sure your work gets to the right place where people can see it and cite you. Because the more they cite you, the more you are known. The more you are known, the more you become a champion in your field. And so tonight I'm talking about the H index. The H index, which I'm going to show you by this graph. Now, this is my own graph because I have to use myself as an example because I'm the one presenting tonight. Now, this is my graph from Scopus. I have 63 papers in Scopus as of today. 63. I published over 100 papers in my career, but 63 of them are in Scopus, indexed in Scopus. And as you can see, the highest of them has been cited 71 times from this figure you can see here, and on and on. So as of today, my H index is 18 in Scopus. What does this mean? It means out of my 63 papers in Scopus, 18 of them have attracted minimum 18 citations each over the years. Even though some have 71, 60, 57, but in total, 18 of them have been cited more than 18 times each. That's why I have H index of 18. So the more they cite me, the more the H index graph grows. And to tell you about the impact I'm making in my world and of course in my field. Now, if you compare this, when I started this, permit me to say this, that I don't deal with Google Scholar because as a researcher, I won't encourage you to base your life on Google Scholar. That is what we call Dugbe in Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian, I'm a Yoruba guy. So how do I mean by that? It's just like a platform where anything you do, whether quality or no quality, Google Scholar archive everything for you. It doesn't matter where you are published. But Scopus and these credible databases will select only the quality of your work, and that's what they disseminate for the world to see about you. Now, compare my H index on Scopus with that of Google Scholar. You'll see that on Google Scholar now my H index is 22, whereas in Scopus is 18, because Scopus is only picking those that are of quality, whereas everything is appearing here. So that's to talk about the quality I'm driving at tonight. Now, other things you need to know about publishing. You see, these things are very important. You need to improve your writing skills over time. Usage of grammar is very important because some of your work will be rejected because the English usage is bad. Now, format, you must understand. Technical terms, every discipline has its own technical terms. Now, and that's why you must edit your language, and your keywords are very important. Now, what are keywords? Over time, I tell people that keywords are very important. That is what defines you. For example, I do research in energy, and that's why you see my papers. You see me using keywords like clean energy, affordable energy, biomass, biofuel, biogas. And these are consistent in all my writings. Now, you can't see me use biogas, biomass today, and tomorrow in another paper, I put economics, business studies, religious studies. Then where do I belong? Then who am I? That is why some people are not getting cited enough, because the world cannot even place you where you belong. So your keywords are words that are used for indexing and abstracting, and they must be consistent with your research line so that the world can know you for that research line. So let's move forward. Now, you must be wary of ethical considerations, and the most important of them is plagiarism. Unfortunately, today, it is something that goes around the whole world. People plagiarize at will, and it is not something that should be talked about among us as researchers because it is not good. Now, other things like gift authorship, falsification of results, and all of those things, we must be. Now, look at this picture here, because most of the time what you see is that somebody just say, put my name put my name, without doing anything. Now, but this picture put together here is a very good one to tell you that it is the amount of effort you have put into a work that determines your placement as an author, if at all you are an author of that paper. Now, the person that is first author here, you can see corresponding author is inside the car. The first and second authors, you can see where they are. They are the one doing the pushing here. The third author is also pushing, but not as much as the first and second author. It's on the side, it's here. You can see his head here. Now, the fourth author is inside the car. The first, second, and third are also pushing him alongside the car. So he's not doing as much as they are doing. That's why he's fourth author. These are things we must be clear with before we put somebody's name in publications. Now, as a researcher, you must engage in these platforms. Are you on Scopus? Are you on ResearchGate? Are you on Google Scholar? Are you on Mendeley? Are you on Problems? And of course, repositories are very important as a researcher so that you can get your credit for the work you are doing. Now, don't forget to also collaborate. It works a lot, but not like this one I'm showing you here. Because in this one, you can see that some people are working, some are enjoying. Collaboration is a partnership. Look for people that are of the same mind in your research area or interdisciplinary area. Collaborate with them, and then you can move your research forward. Now, let's look at this peer review. How prepared are you as a researcher for peer review? Because this is what most people run away from in publishing. I said it is the bedrock of academic publishing. It is the most critical aspect of a manuscript lifetime. It's undoubtedly the point of an author's baptism to the rigors of publishing. It has and is still the Waterloo of many academics around the world, whether in Nigeria or in the USA. It is most time the longest part of a manuscript journey to publication. And that is where you are likely to face the worst criticism of your career, because up till now, some people will still tell you that your English is bad. You can imagine somebody who does not speak good English reviewing my paper and telling me my English is bad. You understand? I've had that experience when I started my research in those days. You know, the Indian man who speaks Hindi telling me that my English is bad. Even the English he used to write that message to me is bad, and he's telling me my English is bad. But I got no choice because I want my paper to be accepted. So I have to look at it again and do the revision of what he's asking me to do. So peer review is very important. Now look at this picture here. Now you must get the picture from here tonight, everybody. You can see that the lady there is the editor. That is the one that handles your paper. And then, so the editor may not just be that in very experienced, because if you look at her face, she's a young woman here. That tells you a lot of things. But after getting your paper, because this is your paper here, the patient is your paper, she transferred the paper to reviewers. As you can see from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first thing you notice that these are very old and experienced men. So people that review your papers are experienced publishers too. And as you can see from here, 5 of them placing their stethoscope on the man's chest at the same time, they will do different diagnoses on the man at the same time. That is why sometimes you have different opinions in your review, but you must bring everything to a focus if you want your paper to be published. That is why you must embrace peer review. Now, what do they look at before they publish a paper in terms of suitability? Initial screening they will carry out is to look at the scope and the format. Is it with the scope of the journal? Is it according to format? These are things they will look at. Is it significant? Is it novel enough? You know, and then the editor will look at some points before the paper goes for peer review. He look at the cover letter, the abstract, the keywords, conclusion, and of course your literatures. Are they updated? Are they in the last 5 years majorly? So those are the things that the editor will look at before your work goes out. So these are the things you see in the cover letter. Let me not go through this one because of my time. Now, what will the reviewers look out for in your paper? The motivation. Is it novel? Is it original? The conclusion. Is the result important? Is it going to add knowledge to your field? Then it looks at the people that are going to read, the people that you are actually targeting, the audience. Will they take the work to be important or serious? Is it going to add anything to them? The viewers will look at all of these things before they ask them to publish your work. And is your work clear in terms of presentation? These are issues they will look at. Now, What if your work is rejected? What do you do? Because I've had people that cry so much when their work is rejected. I had an example with my wife when she started research. She's a senior lecturer now today. You know, she had her first rejection and started crying. She couldn't allow me to do anything in the house that day because she was just crying. And I told her, oh, woman, don't cry. This journal rejected you. Me, your husband, I've not rejected you. So why are you crying? You know, so I sat her down and said, there's no problem. What you need to do is to look for the reviewers' comments, sit down with them, address them, and fire it back. I have one principle in life. When the journal rejects my work, I must get my work published in that journal later, sooner or later in life. And usually, most of the time, you publish your work in a better journal after you have done all the revision and all of that you need to do. Now, they can reject outrightly without review. If it is outside the scope, if the format is wrong, if it's not novel, if it's not important and it's not clear. Now, after review, they can also reject if there are technical issues, if the design is flawed, if you are not clear in the motivation, if the novelty is not clear, because your work must be novel. And can you please allow me to talk about novelty? Somebody will say, what is novelty? Novelty. Must it be something somebody has not done? No, there is nothing new under the heaven. But there are new dimensions to everything in life right now. Now, the truth is that when you say a work is novel, if you are the first to ever do it, that is novelty. Now, it has been done in US. I'm the first to do it in Nigeria. That is novelty. Now, many people have done it before using this method. I am doing it using another method. That is novelty. If you are modifying existing methods and it's working for you, it's no so. Novelty can come in different measures. It's not straightjacketed. And so that's what you must know tonight, that novelty is what is very important. And of course, when you get your work, good, well written, your statement must be very clear. Your charts and table must be very clear with their legends. These are all the things that they will look at as reviewers. I review for over 60 journals today. So I do this almost every time. And these are things we point out to authors before we get their papers published. Now, how do you handle rejection when your work is rejected? Don't be hasty in sending a rebuttal if you do at all. And this is one point in your life you need to learn the principle of humility. Sometimes you want to abuse them and say, you know what you are doing? Do you know me? Do you know my pedigree and all that? You have pedigree. But the humble guy who is assessing your paper right now has an edge over you because he determines if it will be published or not. So you have to be humble, send your rework manuscript to another journal or to that same journal if you still want to publish in that journal. And after you have done all of that, peradventure, it may fly. Now, you can appeal also. You can appeal. If you think the point you are raising is wrong, you can appeal. Yes. And do your revision. If you ask to do revision, it means two or three reviewers have said the work is okay. It only needs to be worked upon. So you can do your revision and prepare it very well. Usually, put your point in a tabular form, let it be very clear, and send it back to them. And then, if you are asked to do major revision, it means minimum 2 persons have asked that you must do major revision in your work. That's why the editor will say major revision. And so you just have to be very systematic and sit down with your work and do it very well. You can ask colleagues to also help you to look at it. And all the points that you are correcting, always put them in different color, in a color format, so that they can see it very clearly from the point of and when your work is accepted, it is good for you. After acceptance, you can also update your references and do some other corrections in the galley proof before it is published. Now, as I close tonight, if you publish in good journals, in good outlets, like I've told you tonight, what are the things that you expect to follow? There are so many benefits. Fame will come to you. Like I said, I don't believe in publishing for promotion. As a matter of fact, I believe when promotion comes, create problem for people that are assessing you for promotion. How do I mean? You need 20 papers. 20 papers to be a senior lecturer, for example. Give them 30 papers. Even if they go and assess you in hellfire or in hell, you will still pass. You need 20, you give them 30. So always create problem for them. I don't like when I hear people say, I need to be a senior lecturer now. I need to be a professor now. I need 30 people. I only have 22. I'm looking for 6 more. What have you been doing over the years? You see, so it is not about promotion. It's about impact. You want to solve problems for your world. And that's why you are going to research. Money will come. Sincerely, it will come. I've enjoyed that a lot. I'm still enjoying it. Money will come. But the first thing is that you don't run after money. It will run after you eventually, because a time will come in your career when those bodies will be run around and say, can you have this money to do this for us? Can you do this for us? You know, so many things, and those are benefits of them. You have peer recognition. You develop your personal life. In terms of fortune, promotion will come. You will be able to win grants, international appointments, research funding. And who tells you that researchers must be poor? No, that is not true. I'm an example of researchers that are wealthy to the glory of God. So I'm not a poor man. Now, responsibility to society, you are able to address issues for society. And of course, you contribute to progress of your nation, and of course, international recognitions also is part of it. And of course, you can be appointed as editor of impact journals. I'm editor to about 3 journals today that are high impact. You can be a reviewer. I review for over 60 papers today. You can be a reviewer for granting bodies, and you get paid heavily. You can be an examiner beyond barriers, beyond borders. You can become a visiting professor or scientist, government appointment, national appointment. All of this can be there. These are journal finders for SCB and all of those. As I close tonight, conclusion of the matter. Now, friends, every vision is the unveiling of God's responsivity to your concern with the responsibility. Now, you don't respond to vision at your convenience. Prompt response is required. Run with the vision, don't allow it to run off. An immediate response is required. What I'm saying tonight is very simple, that if you are a researcher or you are maybe an academic like myself, now you must see research as a vision that you must run with. And this is the time to start running with the vision. Now, in the Bible, we read about the Ethiopian eunuch, and you know the story. He told Philip. Philip was saying, when we get to the water, we'll baptize. He said, no. Look, here is water. What can stand in my way of being baptized? Just get me baptized now. So, friend, if there's a time you must sit down and get started at your research to get to the very peak, it is now and not tomorrow. Now, every vision is a knock on your heart. Are you interested? You bend your iron when it is hot. You know, vision is like a pregnancy. It takes power to push to deliver. And of course, you must understand that you can't deliver if you don't start now. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for listening to me tonight.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. There were a lot of nuggets from the presentation. So it was so clear and so easy to follow through. I think the highlight for me was the fact that you brought balance to every facet of everything: diligence, spirituality, vision, carrying everything along. That was so insightful. Thank you very much. We do appreciate you coming around. Just before you wrap up, I know there are people who have questions, and there are people who would like to contribute in one way or the other. Because we had everybody muted, we are not going to unmute you, but please, if you have a question, please just use the raise of the hand feature. So we know you have a question, then we can unmute you particularly. Then if you like to ask as a chat, please drop your questions in the chat section so that we can read out to the professor, and then you can have your doubts cleared. So I'll be waiting to read your questions or to have you unmuted so you can ask directly. Right. While I wait for people to send in their questions, I have comments on the chat sections. It's more of appreciation. Yeah, thank you very much. So people asking for the recordings, you can check on the association YouTube channel. It's simultaneously being recorded on YouTube. So you can go back there to have a playback. Then, as the professor said, you have the slide sent to you via your email as much as so long you registered, you get the slide sent across to you. Okay, yeah, I can see Abiodun Adeshino. You've been unmuted. Please ask your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good evening, everybody. I really enjoyed that wonderful presentation from Prof. I want to hear the full point of Prof. As regard the call for papers in journal, articles, and the like, in which people may first be asked, especially when it comes to conference attendance, people are asked to submit abstracts. And people will be submitting abstracts, continuously submitting abstract of paper they have not even written. Is it really ideal for researchers to compile the abstracts before even sending the full paper? Which one is the ideal?
Okay, I got that. Should I go ahead and respond?
Yes, please. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. You see, like I said earlier, most of the time you get people asking you to submit papers, and the Prof just touched on an issue that's very important now. Why will I write an abstract of the work I have not done? You see, there are so many criminals in the name of academics today who just want to, we call them cash and carry publishers, just because they want to make money from you. It is not bad to pay to publish this. The truth is this: it's either you publish gold open access or you publish closed access, because when you want to make your work open access, you have to pay for it. But the journal is credible. But there are so many journals out there today who just want to make more out of you. Now, the truth be told, if you have not done a work, you cannot stand up to say, this is the result I'm going to get, because you don't know what's going to come out from it. So when you begin to write abstract of a work you have not done and send it to a journal or to a conference, it is more or less like an academic fraud, because in the long run, you want to pattern that work to fit into the abstract you have already written. So if you want to really go far in research and feasibility, I want to encourage us to desist from doing such things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Very much. There is a question. Yes. There is a question from the chat. I'll just read it out so that we'll have a response to that. I think it's more than one now, but let me start with this from Matthew Ogungbe. Can the research in arts and social sciences get published in Scopus and, forgive my pronunciation, Elsevier?
Okay. Please go ahead.
Yes, that's the question. If you're in arts or social sciences, can you publish in such platforms? I think that's what he's asking.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. You see, I do this a lot of time to different audiences, of course, different institutions within and outside. And one of the issues I've always encountered is persons in the arts and humanities coming to say, Prof, everything you are saying, you are a scientist, but now I've learned my lessons. When I'm presenting, I give them a lot of time, talk about them a lot of time to carry them along also. Now, in Scopus or whatever credible journals you talk about, whether it's Elsevier or Springer, Taylor and Francis, it cut across all fields of studies in life. Sincerely, one of the few days ago when I did one like this to some audience, I had to go to Scopus to show them that today we have more than 42,000, journals, trade journals, book series, conference proceedings, indexed in Scopus. And there is no one field that is not there. Well, I wouldn't know how it's going to go. Maybe one of these days again, you can also invite me to come and do some training on Scopus. I can do it online for in this group to be able to see. I open my scopus from here and show you a lot of things that cut across many fields. It's going to be more or less like a hands-on practical that everybody will be able to see. If you are in law, journals are there. If you are in arts, your journals are there. In humanities, they are all there. So, in fact, while you are still doing your research, you already know where you want to publish it. So you can go there and Google and say, okay, I like the journal. This one will give me more impact, give me visibility, and then you pattern your work according to. So it cuts across every field. It doesn't matter where you are in research. There are journals, not 1, not 10, not 100, that are credible and that fits into your work. And if you look at one, you think one is not good enough, the chances are for you to just switch to another one. Many of them are there for every field. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that response. I read through the chat and I saw a lot of people want more explanations on peer review. So I don't know if you can shed more light on that, sir.
Okay, on peer review. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, like I said, you see, peer review is the bedrock of academic publishing. Now, when you say peer review, from the word peer review, there are two things there. Peer. Peer means your colleagues, scientists in your field, in your discipline and sub-disciplines and near disciplines. Now, review means to look at your work thoroughly if it conforms to standards. Let's not forget rather that we are researchers and we are not Nigerian researchers or South African researchers, American researchers. No, it's a global village. The same principle control research across disciplines. And that's why we can't do things in another way other than the standard way. So now, one of the things that happen in journal publication is that when you write your paper, your manuscript rather, the working paper, and then you have a journal that you want to publish it in, the first thing I tell people to do is, you see, when I started, let me give you my example. When I started out, my supervisor, who trained me during my master's degree, trained me in a very funny way. We are both professors today, to the glory of God. You know, this guy will say, you know, you are a young man, you are yet to marry, and then you have energy. So he will ask me to come to the office after we have worked in the lab, then he will give me work to do. Write this, write this, write this, write this. I'm going to my house to meet my wife and children. Before I return in the morning, I must meet this and this and this. And as he's going, he will lock the door from behind and go with the key. Lo and behold, the toilet, the room, the office had no toilet. And so whether I wanted to poo-poo or wee-wee or whatever you wanted to do, I must just keep it to myself before he comes in the morning. And so that was how this guy trained me. When I finished my master's, I already had 12 publications as a master's degree student before I even started PhD at all. Now, it was from there I got to know that the first thing to do is to sit down one day as a researcher and look for credible journals in your field. List them out. These are the journals I'm targeting to publish in my career. Then the next thing is to go to their website and download what we call the author's pack. Each of them have what they call author, that will give you all the information you need on that particular journal. So download it and study it. It will help you to pattern your manuscript after their format. So when you now submit to the editor, the next thing, the editor now look for, you know, there is the chief editor, there is associate editor, there is subject editor. All of these people work together in the publishing house. The manuscript is now they look at it on the desk. Does it conform with format and scope? If it does, the next thing, they now invite 3, 4, or 5 experts in that field. When you are submitting, they will ask you to nominate 2 or 3 or 4 of them. They may use them, they may not. So they send your work to them, especially when they are published in that area before. These people go through the work, they look at the technicalities of your work and conformation with the format of the journal, and they report back to the editor, who now decide if your work will be published or not. That's what we call peer review. So very rigorous, because you can have different opinions, different dimensions, and then you are also allowed to say, I'm sorry, this thing you are saying is wrong. What I've done is right. I know, you know, it's not as if they know better than you, but it's a process that is very rigorous and take time. So it's a process that you have to really go through in publishing, because it's aimed at making your work to conform with standard, international standard, and to work to have the intended visibility that you needed. So that's just it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think those people that asked those questions have been cleared. Just before we have the conclusion, I would also like to highlight this thing you mentioned about originality. I would like you to maybe shed more light on how much you can, apart from citing people's work, how much you can read and restructure what other people have done. I mean, in terms of grammar and tenses, not in terms of their work. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Okay, talking about originality.
Yes, please.
Okay. You see, somebody was talking to me the other day, and he said, there's no originality again. Actually, it's not a teaching staff, it's a non-teacher. And I just looked at him and I laughed. So well, how do you mean? You know, when one egg is spoiled, doesn't mean every egg is spoiled. That the fact that we have people today, a lot of academics today are plagiarizing, doesn't mean everybody is doing it. You and I are not doing it, and we will never do it. So now, within the limit of similarity index, or what we call originality, there are software today. The most common is what we call Turnitin, which universities use. But journals use what we call Authenticate. Authenticate is more detailed than Turnitin. Now, you are allowed to copy. But then let me explain what you mean by copy, because that is what is confusing people a lot. You can't do a research in isolation. When I say research, I mean writing, because writing is more tedious than eventual research itself, because you are writing, you know, so many things are involved. Now, during your writing, there is the introduction, which must have references. That means you are going to be citing what persons have done before in order to build a background for your work. And the essence is very simple. You are building that background so that you can create the gap that they left behind untouched, and to tell the world, this gap these guys have created is what I have filled with my own work. So there is no way you can do without others' work. But when you are citing people, you are not permitted to lift statement or paragraphs. Write in your own words, but refer to somebody who has done something in that line. That, okay, you don't have to say, if somebody say, for example, biology is the study of life. And if I say biology means studying life, I have said the same thing in different ways. All you need to do is to let the world know that somebody has worked around that area before, similar to your work. You don't have to lift what he has done and paste in your work. So, but because the person has done something similar before, give him the kudos for having done something earlier that you can step upon. That's the essence of citing people. So you are not allowed to copy and paste. And of course, I think the limit is about 20%, 15-20% maximum, depending on journals. So that is one thing we must be very, very careful of, because today people just copy. And again, that's what we call self-citation or self-plagiarism. People copy because it's your work. No, that is your work does not mean that you must copy everything and paste. It's not right. You can refer to your own work, you can cite your own work, but your citation from your own personal work must not go beyond 10% of the total citation of your work. What do I mean? So if you are citing 70 references in your work in a paper, your own must not be more than maybe 7. And they must all be relevant to the work you are reporting, not just anything. Not you don't want to build your citation, you just want to be copying everything. And finally, I will say this. There are about 2 or 3 ways to increase your citation as a researcher. The first thing, my God told me in those days when I started, he said, the first person that should be proud of your work is you yourself. And that's the truth. If you are not proud of your work, nobody will be proud of it. It means your work is not good as far as you're concerned. So you can cite yourself within the limit of self-citation, which should not go beyond 10% of your work. Number 2, your students or your mentees must believe in you as their arrowhead. They can also cite your work. Now, the third thing is maybe another time I had the opportunity, like I said, maybe if you invite me another time, I'll be able to teach, to show you a lot of things on Scopus. There is one thing that is very new now, just very new in the world right now, which I know by the grace of God, on how to choose current and trending research topics. You see, research has gone beyond just doing anything anyhow. Now there are topics that are very, very current and trending that are selling in the market. There are those that are fading away. There are those who have completely faded away. So if you know how to go about choosing current topics, that is what people are reading now. Your work will be cited and you get credit for your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that cleared the doubts. I have one more question to ask from the chat. I think I'll take this as the last question to ask. The person is asking, when is the best time to start publishing? I think you answered that in the course of your lecture, but let me just ask, as the person has asked, is it right to start earlier than you complete your PhD?
Oh, okay. This is a very good one. No? Like I said, before I started as a doctoral student, I had 12 publications. 12, which gave me an edge over my colleagues in those days. You see, now students must learn one thing, that the first collaborator you're going to have in your life or your career is your supervisor, career supervisor. So there's nothing, if you want to have a career in research or the academia, you must begin to have that in mind from your graduate studies. And move close to your supervisor or people that you know are doing well. Not everybody is doing well. And so there's nothing stopping you from engaging those that are doing well while you are doing your undergraduate project. At the end of the day, do a good work that you can publish. In fact, for most people that are doing well today, they will tell you my first paper is from my BSc or my BA project. And that will give you a very good footing. So you don't have to wait until you have a PhD. Right from your BSc work, you can start publishing. From your MSc, you can publish. In fact, by the time you have your PhD, it will just be like you begin to fly. You don't have to wait until you have a PhD to make impact in publishing. Now, what a PhD does for you is to give you a voice. As a master's degree holder, you can publish. Why not? With a master's, you have the opportunity to sit down and learn when others are talking. But with a PhD, others are bound to listen when you are talking. So that's the only privilege you have. So don't wait until you have a PhD or you become a professor before you start publishing. The right time to start is now and not tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So I said I was going to take that as the last question, and I think we should stay on that. Professor, we appreciate you sharing. You know, the highlight for me was the fact that you were willing to share your experiences without holding back. And that's, I think it's better when people learn from other people's experiences. So I do appreciate, and I think everybody too appreciates that. Thank you for with the willingness to share your experience with us, and you were even willing to go beyond, requesting to have you come again to share with us how to use these tools hands-on session with you. We appreciate you, and greetings to your wife. Thank you for also pushing her to publish, and I hope she's still doing that. Yeah. Thank you so much once again, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Before we wrap up the session, we'll have the president of the association speak to us in a few minutes about the oncoming Congress.
everyone. It has been a very nice time. I want to really appreciate you for the presentation and for the thoroughness in the presentation. May God continue to increase your wisdom in Jesus' name. We have been having wonderful time from Uganda, who have presented 3 times consecutively. We have also learned a lot from his wealth of experience. What is interesting about this, our series of webinars, is that we're learning from our presenters, things that you cannot find from textbooks. Most of the idea that Professor Downs here have taught us tonight, you cannot find it in any textbook, either in Nigeria or elsewhere. So we want to appreciate you, and we believe that more people will still come on board to share their experience in research with us and in assessment. I want to tell us that the forthcoming IAIIEA annual conference will be very, very educative and insightful. I want to tell you that those who are going to do one thing or the other, they are already preparing our lead paper presenters, and then also our keynote address speaker. We are in touch with them, and they are preparing to give us the best. I wouldn't want any of us to miss the great thing that is going to happen, knowledge that we are going to share, and I want everybody to prepare, because we still have about a month and few days to the conference time. Actually, the conference is going to take place from 15th of November, 15th to 19th of November 2021. And as you can see from the flyer, we'll be talking the theme of the assessments in the new normal time. And there are 3 things we should be looking for. During the conference. 3 things. They are going to be time of plenary, and there are going to be parallel sessions. There are also going to be insightful moments. There is also going to be workshop section. And as you can see from the flyer, we have many sub-teams. There is no time again tonight to begin to read. We are going to reshare the flyer on our association WhatsApp page. But I want to tell you that you should still send in your abstract. We are still receiving abstract. Tonight, we have French professor from University of Maiduguri who joined us for the first time. We happen to know how to invited to the association. We have colleagues from UBEC that joined for the first time tonight. We have colleagues from NTI that joined tonight, and from various parts of the world, from Uganda. I think the time now in Uganda is about 12 midnight. They are still in the platform now learning. They are with us every time. So Nigeria, we have the privilege. I believe nobody is saying I don't have data, I can't connect. If people are sacrificing all the way from Uganda, I can see my friend Efaritos is still with us now. From Uganda around to 12 midnight. They are there, Bonnie, just to learn anywhere they can get something new they want to learn. So we should let the flag, let's keep it on flying. And let's tell people about this conference. And I believe that we have more to learn. But let me emphasize on the workshop. We're going to have 4 workshop topics. And you cannot miss any of these workshops. We are going to talk about available online application for teaching, learning, and assessment. We are going to look at big data and artificial intelligence, that is application of this in education. We're also going to look at enhancing educational assessment through data science. And then we are also going to look at modern software for educational research. These are new areas, they are new fields. So let us fix this date in our calendar, 15 to 19 November 2021. Somebody is asking, when can I register? Just as Professor said tonight, it is now. Just go to IAIIEA website and you will just click the menu where we have program. Program will lead you to conference, and there you can go ahead and register. There will be two modes of joining the annual conference. You can join physically here in Abuja. Abuja is where we are going to host the conference. And then you can join virtually. If you cannot be with us physically in Abuja, you can join virtually. So when you go to the website, you just click the mode of participation, whether it's virtual or you want to join physically. So just click which of the button that you like that is most preferred by you. Thank you very much. The conference fee is so you can even pay for the conference fee with even in your house. From your house without going to bank, you can pay the conference fee just on your Android phone. The process, you can see it on the website. God bless you very much. I want to say that we really appreciate you, appreciate your time, appreciate the efforts, appreciate our presenter, and appreciate the participant for staying along with us. God bless you. Thank you, our anchor. Over to you.
Thank you once again, the president of the IAIIEA Association. Thank you, everybody, for participating tonight. Thank you, Professor. We really enjoyed the lecture you gave to us. And thank you, everyone, for staying through to this very time. I would have loved to show my face maybe one of these days, but I live in an area without fiber optics, so I have to depend on the network. The local network providers, and the bandwidth is so low. So just to make it stable to hear the audio, just manage the audio you have to hear every now and again. My name is Peace, and it has been wonderful being the anchor of tonight's seminar. Before we wrap up, let's just have a word of prayer. So I'd like to call the last person that asked the question to say the closing prayer for us. That's Matthew. Sorry, the title is not there. Just forgive me for calling the names just the way it is. I don't think he's still connected. I can't find him here. So let me just go with Enoch Kimanje. Forgive me for murdering that name. Kimanje Enoch. Please say the closing prayer first, please. You can unmute yourself. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much. I am Reverend Dr. Enoch Kimanje from Uganda, Makerere University. Shall we pray?
All right. Okay.
Almighty God, we thank you for the gift of life that you have given us. And we thank you for such kind of academic arrangement. For our presenter tonight, we thank you. And for the opportunity for this kind of academic life. We place our lives in you, into your hands, Lord. Guide us, continue giving us wisdom, and protect us against COVID-19 that we are suffering from. Through you, Jesus Christ, we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Dr. Enoch. Thank you so much for the prayers. Until next time, I wish all of us a wonderful week ahead. Please stay safe and God will be with you all. Bye.
Bye.